Huh. Oh. So here we have the new face, Wrinkle Destroyer, or something like that. Apparently this thing is supposed to send electricity into your face to get rid of all the wrinkles. Apparently if you stick the thing on your face while it's still on, it can give you a pretty good shock. So I'm just dying to test that out. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see me get shocked. My wife said it just stopped turning on, which seems to be correct. So let's not waste any more time and just see if we can get into this thing. Looks like this just pops off here. Hopefully it just looks like it's these two screws and then we should be in here. Well, that was nice. It was just the two screws and we're in. So I don't see any screws really holding the board down. I mean, it is somewhat modern, which means it is probably, glued down. All it should need is some tough love. Okay. So it's not glued down. They just use the sticky tape method as opposed to the non-sticky tape. What? This battery, I believe fully charged, should be around 4.2 volts. Nice. 4.1, that's close enough. Should give us plenty of charge to turn this thing on anyway. Oh, I almost forgot to unplug the battery. Come on, Steve, let's try not to break it even more. Even though that would probably make it a little more interesting. So if it's not the battery, then we should probably check the power button next. I mean, the ribbon cable looks okay, and so does the connector on the board. I think we need to see if we can get this button membrane off and see what's going on with these buttons. So it looks like this should just pull up. I want to be gentle. I don't want to rip anything. So it looks like, the button contacts, they look clean at least. Let's get a closer look at these traces. Ooh, so this thing just got a little bit more interesting. It really does seem like they just really don't want you to fix these if these traces, just pull up that easily. Look at this other side over here. It looks like something got behind the membrane and started to eat away the traces anyway. So I guess it doesn't really matter that some of the traces got pulled up anyways. I need to know how much my wife spent on this. So let's do away with the printed circuit board. Even if I could find it, probably just going to break again. So I think I'm going to drill some holes and try some tack switches. Let's just make some room for the switches. Don't need you, don't need you. So if I bend the legs out, that should give us just enough room for it to close and let the switch stick up just enough to be pressed. Perfect. Good, now that the switches are in, it's time to add every modder's favorite thing, some hot glue. But let's just try not to put too much because I don't think we have that much room in here. I'm going to more rely on the board to hold these buttons down. Kind of just want to use this as a sort of four-man's insulation so I don't short anything out on accident. Now that we have the switches where we want them, let's take some enamel wire and solder it up following the traces that were on the front. It looks like they are treating this just like a keyboard where all the negative leads are together and then each button is basically on their own row and it just pulses really, really fast through those rows, waiting for you to press one of the buttons and bring the signal low, indicating a button press. Nice, so now that we have the buttons sorted out, I can turn my attention to the board. Now the ribbon cable is fried and frankly I really don't even want to deal with it anyways, so now I have to use the multimeter and beep out each of these connections. And I don't really see any really good places on this side of the board. Let's check the other side here. It looks like there are several test points. Hopefully some of them go to the ribbon cable and that will make my life a little easier. Let's set the multimeter to continuity. We should just be able to place a probe here and flip it over to the other side on those test points. And nice, we got our first one. Now we can go to the next pin. There you are. Alright, so I have found all the connections for this ribbon cable, so let's get all the wires connected where they need to go. So now it looks like everything is soldered up. We can connect the battery back up, and then I can try and finagle these wires into place so we can put this back together, and then it's finally time to test it. Oh, excuse you. How rude. Now it's time to see if this thing actually works, and I can get a bunch of extra bonus points with my wife. Yes! That's what I'm talking about. It freaking works. Yes! Now, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, now it's actually time to test this thing out on my face. So I'm just going to turn this thing all the way up, and I'm going to leave it on while it touches my face. See how bad the shock is. Oh. Oh. Ow! No! 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 Well, actually, no. I mean, maybe just one more.